Hey everyone, welcome to Between Sundays podcast. And we're so glad that you are listening or watching. I'm your host, if you don't already know that, Dale Satrum, and I'm here with my two amazing, good-looking, much younger co-hosts.
Let's go.
Katie Jones.
What's up, guys?
Jeremy Lara.
Let's go.
I don't really know what this is.
I don't either,
okay?
but it makes me want to do it too.
But you know, he just does cool things. And
Gen Z.
That ship sailed for me a long
Gen
time
Z.
ago. So we're so glad you are watching. This episode is about your questions. It's one of our favorite ones where you write in questions and we do our best to answer them. And I can't tell you how much we love the questions.
Yeah.
We love the questions.
Yep.
Because we talk about the messiness of Between the Sundays, and your questions represent that.
Yeah.
It gives us an insight. It gives a perspective, and we don't want to assume what your questions are. So we just love the messy. So thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, you're the reason we started this whole entire podcast. That was always the mission, was to give people a place where we can have safe conversations without you feeling judged about what it means to really follow Jesus in real life. So you guys are incredible for sharing your hearts, and we love hearing the heart behind the questions too. So when you guys give us the context, thank you so much for just trusting us, because these are some hard questions we're going to be talking about today. We do have some sex questions, so if you've got little ears, this is your disclaimer.
Yes.
We're talking about it again, guys.
Yes.
Woohoo! We love it.
And we'll keep talking about send them in.
You guys keep on saying them in, we're going to talk about it.
Absolutely. Hey, and you guys, there is never, and I feel like we've said this a million times, but I'll keep saying it. We have no idea who sends these questions. Our system, we cannot see. It can never be traced back to you.
Completely anonymous.
It is completely protected and safe. So if you send a question to bspodcast@foothillsonline.com, we are not sharing any information. We are not. We just are very protective of that and your guys' privacy. So just know that. But without further ado,
let's do it.
Let's
jump
get
in.
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. So for our first question and / comment, it says, "Hello all. I have a Bible question that I'm hoping you can offer some clarification. I've been a Christian since I was a child, but have never read the Bible in its entirety. I am following a program that takes you through the Bible in a year in chronological order. To be clear, I am only on Exodus, but already have so many questions. In this book, most of what I am seeing is some very specific instructions on building altars and sacrificing animals. I understand that the Bible is the only guide we have to follow Christ, but I am really struggling to understand the relevance in modern life. It seems bizarre to me." Well,
Ooh, I can relate to that.
Great question.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yes.
So good.
Absolutely.
it is bizarre.
It is bizarre, okay? I mean, think about what you're reading. You're separated from history and culture by thousands of years, and you're trying to understand context and people. And by the way, you're reading through the Bible in 1 year. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's a good goal, but that's a tough thing. I mean, reading through the Bible in a year is a tough thing, especially you've never done it before. So you're going to read things and you are going to struggle with understanding the relevance. So anyway, a good job trying to do this, but boy, I think a lot of people can relate to your question. What is the point?
Just wait till you get to Leviticus.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you that it's going to get easier, but it's going to get harder before it gets better. So that being said...
Yeah. Well, I can relate to this. I am a big picture person, and so you can get so lost trying to read the Bible in chronological order. If it's working for you, good for you. I had to read the New Testament first to understand more of the Old Testament and realize, like, oh my gosh, God is so, like, I have to have such a reverence. He is so perfect. There were these crazy laws because Jesus hadn't come yet and bridged that gap for us. So, like, I wouldn't have really put that together without reading the New Testament first, and also reading books along with the Bible. So, I don't know if I should. I mean, they should pay me to say whoever wrote this book, but How Not to Read the Bible is a great book to read alongside with the Bible. Pastor Sam recommended that one to me, and it was great because there is some bizarre stuff where if you don't know the context, it's like trying to describe what surfing the web means to someone that lived in the 1700s. They're going to be like, what the heck is surfing the web?
Hey, listen, when that first came out,
Yeah.
that term first came out,
Yeah.
okay, when the internet first came out, were you born yet? Anyway, so
maybe not.
maybe not. Well, when it first came out,
What year was that?
Dial up.
Well,
1492.
Oh, you guys are so mean. Listen, I had no clue what that term meant. I mean, it was a brand new term.
Yes.
What does surfing the web mean? What is that web?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I remember all of that.
Yeah.
It's a whole new terminology since then. So I don't know why I brought that up.
No, I mean, it's
Remind
relevant.
me how old I am, I guess.
I'm struggling to understand the relevance in modern life. It seems bizarre to me. I don't know if this is terrible advice, so Dale will correct me if this is wrong.
Terrible advice.
I started reading the Bible in chronological order, and when I switched to starting in the New Testament, that is like what opened the door for better understanding for me personally. Everybody's journey is different. That would be my recommendation, is maybe you need a course changed and come back to those to when they can make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it.
So I'll recommend a couple things. First of all, again, great question, and good job trying to read through it in a year. I teach a class that you can go to the church's website, and it's kind of an overview of the entire Bible. If you would go and listen to the first few weeks of that class, it would really help you. Because the problem with reading the Bible for everyone is that you don't have context. The Bible is a collection of 66 books. And so when we read a book, we think it's, you can't read the Bible like a normal book. That's what the chronological studies try to do. But the Bible's not written in chronological sequence. You have 39 what's called Old Testament books before Jesus. Then you have 27, call them New Testament books, which is Jesus' time and after. If you don't understand the context, it's just 66 random books. And so it's hard to understand what you're reading. So to simply give you some brief context so you can keep reading, the Old Testament and the New Testament is one continual story. It is a theme about, the word is redemption, but it's how God wants a relationship with mankind. And so everything about the Bible is about that. In the Old Testament, he simply uses the nation of Israel as his witness to the world. So he creates a nation. You have Abraham, and then you have Moses, and you have the nation of Israel. You read it in Exodus. And so he uses the nation of Israel as a witness to the world. And then God is going to put them at the geographic crossroads of the ancient world. The ancient world, where he geographically puts Israel, is unlike any other place in the ancient world. It was literally the crossroads of the ancient world, the trade. So God is going to put them in a strategic place. As the world trades, they all have to go through Israel back and forth. They were his witness that there is a one true God, and if you want a relationship with God, here's how you have that relationship. Now I know, so that's the Old Testament. The whole Old Testament is about that. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. So you're in the place where God is creating the nation of Israel, okay? He's giving them laws and this and that. I know some of the laws are weird. I know they're hard to understand, but he's creating a nation. And eventually those laws are all going to foreshadow something. The sacrifices, okay? The offerings. Eventually Jesus is going to show up, and Jesus says, I fulfilled the Old Testament. The word testament means covenant or testament or promise. So it's an old promise and a new promise. That's the New Testament. And that's Jesus. He dies on a cross. He fulfills the Old Testament. Okay, so that is a really brief summary of the Bible.
That's good, though.
And it may help put it in a little more context. So you're reading the Old Testament, and he's created a nation to be a witness to the world so the world can know him. That's what you're reading. So also watch the video, and I do an overview of the whole Bible, and that's really going to help you too.
Awesome.
You can get it on the website.
Yeah, we can link the link.
Link the link.
So there you go.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah.
But it is
Great
weird.
question. Yeah, yeah, you're not alone too.
Yeah, cool. We'll do sorry. I was thinking of saying something. I was thinking of saying something, but I mean everything that you said I completely agree with. So like you said, it's Exodus is such a foundation for our biblical worldview. The way that we're gonna see how God is so personal and gives us kind of boundaries, healthy boundaries of like, hey, I'm asking you to do this, and he gives reason as to why. And he kind of works with humans along Exodus of like, okay, like you guys are stubborn, but I love you. Like here are some boundaries, and they go against it, and then he does it again. So it's like this moment for Exodus, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy of this like mini cycle of like the same thing over and over again, and it happens through the whole Bible. But those books specifically are just like a lot of like cycle struggles.
They are.
So,
Give you another chance. We'll show you more grace.
And in the Old Testament, those cycles, you need to understand, a lot of the Old Testament it teaches principles and truths through stories.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to read the story to get the principle and get the truth. The New Testament is written differently. It simply states the principle. It's a different, what's called genre of literature. And so you kind of, again, all of that helps your understanding. If you watch my class, I'll explain it in the class. And it gives context.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to understand something without context.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Second question. So this one's a little bit bigger, so tune in, listen. It says, hi there, PD, Katie, and Jeremy. I don't know if the podcast is still on the topic of sex or not, but I'm hoping you can shed some light on my situation. When I married my husband, I had 2 children from a previous marriage, and still, early in our marriage, we had an active sex life. I don't recall any specific event that preceded this, but my husband developed an aversion to sex. I don't have sex every night, but I don't think once a week is too much to ask. What I get is a few times a year. We have a good relationship otherwise. I have talked with him until I am blue in the face, and lately I've just given up. Things I have tried are dressing more provocatively to go to bed, complimenting him on how handsome and sexy he is, lots of touch and affection, even encouraging him to drink alcohol as a last-ditch effort. Things I have asked him are to see if he has a hormone imbalance, to see if he would get counseling with me, if there's nothing I can do to make myself more attracted to him. And finally, I straight up asked him if he's gay. Nothing has helped. Do you have any advice?
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of emotions in this one, and it kind of breaks my heart to read it. So I really appreciate you trusting us to talk about this, because there's a lot of heartache there. A lot of heartache. So, and there's no easy answers to this, and so I think some of the things that you have, you're trying, and good for you, for trying, and sounds like you've approached a variety of different things. I'm probably going to encourage you. Of course, you've talked about giving up, and I understand feeling hopeless, and I think there's other people out there that probably could identify with that too. Because let me just say this before I talk about any type of ways to move forward. This is far more common than maybe you realize. So, had plenty of conversations with people over the years where it's the guy who ends up losing interest in sex, and so sometimes, again, we shouldn't chase stereotypes. So you're not alone in this, because there's plenty of other people where it's a similar dynamic. I know that doesn't help you any, but it's not just you. So that being said, again, I want to commend you for what you've done, and also just say that outside of this, you guys have a pretty good relationship.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Well, it is. It just is. So, well done in trying to hang in there and trying to problem solve and trying to be supportive, and, you being willing to change things. And I mean, all those things are really, really, really good. So I think there's a couple of things that you've touched on that I don't know how you revisit these, but I think it might be worth your effort to revisit them. So you talked about hormone imbalances. So regardless of that, go to the doctor. I think that the first thing is to go, and if there is any way to start with a physical, where you're simply going to do some blood work. I mean, I think until you have some kind of a baseline, let's face it, there are a lot of physical things that affect sexual desire, and it is so. I think that box has to be checked eventually. And I mean, I wish I had some good ways to encourage your husband to go do that. I wish he would. I don't know, in terms of weighing into those conversations without him feeling, judged or condemned or like he's broken, he needs to be fixed. I mean, all kinds of emotions that he may have. Sometimes men feel like failures. Sometimes, I mean, I listen. There's things going on there too. So, but I think you got to have at least a physical baseline. You got to be able to scratch that box off or on. Is there something going on? And with a lot of guys, it is.
Yeah, that's very common.
I don't know if he's on other kinds of medication. I know, medications have that. Diabetics have issues. Sometimes the medication affects all of that. So I think you're really wise in trying to set up a time to go to a doctor. And then you also bring up the whole issue of counseling. You're willing to go together. I think all that's really good. Because, and again, I'm not assuming anything, but sometimes people have aversions to sex because of past trauma, and maybe he has some past trauma. Maybe there's some abuse. Maybe there's sexual abuse. I mean, I don't know. I think that there's physical health and then there's emotional health, and I think you got to be willing to try to figure out a way to lean into both of those, because that's going to affect sexual desire. And it sounds like you've approached it and he hasn't been willing. And now it's like, but those are the two right things to do. All right. Those are the right things. How do you move forward with that? Yeah. All right. And so how do you revisit those conversations in a loving way, not a condemning way, a supporting way? It sounds like, since you have a good relationship, you both value the relationship. So, I don't know. Maybe the two of you have some good advice on how do you have those hard conversations. Because the rest of the things, you can keep trying that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. All right, well done. But these things are such basic influencers of so many things in our lives, our emotional health, our physical health. I think you got to lean into it. So
yeah, I wish, like I said, I wish you could come sit
yeah
with us, with cameras off or whatever, but I would love to know what his responses are to these things, Oh no, I'm fine, I'm just tired, no, I just not in the mood, I'm so curious what his side is, because this would be so hard and my heart just hurts for you. I am so sorry that you're that to me as a woman, I could completely understand a little bit of the confidence feeling shot with this. Nobody wants to feel rejected in such an intimate way. So and like Pastor Dale just said, you are so not alone. I mean, this is a very common problem. So it's not just you. And it sounds like you're not doing anything wrong. But yeah, I would be really curious. I wish I could dig deeper on his side a little bit. But yeah, it sounds like those first two steps, if we can't get those taken care of, it's so hard to move forward.
Because then it's all on you. So and that's what I feel bad. You're trying this, you're trying this, you're trying this, and then you just go internal and it's all my fault. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. But this is a way to take it out of fault, okay?
Yep.
Where you deal with physical health and emotional health. It's nobody's fault. It's there are other factors going on. Yeah. So so how do you approach those things? I don't know, Jeremy, you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say, like you said, the first thing, going to the doctor. I think if there's any way that you can increase your testosterone, I think that naturally might help him, because it almost sounds like that's borderline where he's at, where possibly not his manliness, but his testosterone had just come down possibly. So there might not just be an urge to want to have sex at all. And so I think the wife here is putting a lot of blame. You're putting a lot of blame on yourself, which it might just be a medical thing in his body, and it has nothing to do with you at all. Seems like you're putting in so much effort.
Right.
And you care and you love for him and you ask him questions and your guys' relationship is good. So this might be a medical thing, and so I wouldn't put that weight on you. So absolutely not. So
I amen to that.
I hope this is okay to say, but I've seen articles about how much ED has gone younger now.
Yeah.
Like it's getting younger and younger. And there's probably a lot of different reasons for that, but it is so common. So I don't know if that is part of this issue too, and it's just his confidence is also maybe a little shot. And like I said, I wish so badly he had someone you could talk to. And
Sure.
It's hard to answer this question because there are things, other questions we'd like to ask, right?
Yeah.
So
to sum it up, let you guys gave great advice as far as coming at it from, I love you so much. I'm not trying to berate you, but I would love for us to get this figured out together as a team.
Right.
Let's go to the doctor together. If those test results come back normal, let's go to counseling. What is the issue? Let's get a little deeper so we can move forward.
And I like you said that. Let's do it together.
Yep.
It's not you need to go get fixed. You need to go figure this out. We will go together. I will get a physical. You will get a physical. I'll do blood work. You'll do blood work. We'll go to counseling together. We do it together.
Yep. And that is what she says here. If you would go counseling with me. So good on you for already, you're looking at it from a team perspective. I can tell you love your husband.
And for sure staying physical, I think, is important as a guy as well. And so as you stay physical, your testosterone will naturally go up too. And so, you're how old?
Thank you.
And you go to the gym.
61, baby.
And you stay fit.
Woo-woo.
And you see the importance, even though you've experienced children and grandkids. Now, there's exceptions if, there's a medical condition where you can't really work out. But for most people, you have to be intentional about that. And so,
no, it's true. It's true. And especially as you get older, for men, there are things that you can do to continue to, your testosterone doesn't have to fall off the cliff.
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't have to. So that's what I mean. There's a lot of physical things. There's the emotional things. There's the history, the past. I mean, there's a lot of things to try to unpack. And I know none of these are easy answers, and I don't want them to sound cliche. Just go get counseling. That's not what we mean, because I know how heart-wrenching this is. And again, I love the fact that you're willing to do this together. And I'm just going to just circle back around to that. You're willing to go together, the physical, the mental, the emotional. Come on, because you're married, 2 or 1. And you have your unique challenges, but we walk through life together. You got to do it in a partnership. So, and I don't know what's going to make him feel that we're doing this together. Every relationship has its own unique dynamic. So if you were sitting here just with me, the two of you, I'd be asking that question. Come on, what makes you feel supported?
Yeah. I'm really curious what, on a scale from 1 to 10, what his desire to fix this is too, because that is a completely almost like another topic too. Like if you have a spouse that has a 0 desire to fix this problem, PD, what would you say? What would you, if you were counseling someone on that, and this person has tried? No, he refuses to go to. I'm not saying that your husband has.
No,
but
I just the big question is just why. I'd want to sit down and talk to the guy and just go, come on. There's always a reason why, and so a lot of people's behaviors, we focus so much on the behavior, we don't focus on the reason why behind it, and so it's the why. And so you have an aversion, and you used a pretty strong word there, an aversion. So that means almost like you're purposely steering clear of it. You avoid it. You're okay. So, again, that creates so many questions in me. Why are you? What has happened? What's going on in your head, your heart, your mind? I mean, as a guy, what's going on? And if you would look at me and say, well, I just don't have any desire at all. Well, then I would say, well, okay, so again, I don't know how old you are or all these factors, but it's like you have a desire for sex. Let's find out why. Well, I just want a sexless marriage. Well, unfortunately, if you were sitting here in front of me, both of you, we from a biblical perspective, I am commanded to meet my wife's needs, and she meets mine, and that requires communication and understanding and all that kind of stuff. So, so for him to say, I'm never going to have sex again, and yet your wife wants sex, you got to fix that. You got to figure out why. You can't just all of a sudden arbitrarily tell somebody, here's a need that you have, and for the rest of your life, I'm not going to meet that need. You didn't get married for that kind of a relationship. You don't ever get to look at somebody, your marriage partner, and just say, you have a need for me to communicate to you in a certain way, and I refuse to do it for the rest of your life. Holy cow. You are creating a void, and we've talked about voids in here before. If you have a void, you will eventually fill it with something. I mean, human beings don't do voids. We just don't do gaps very well in our hearts and in our minds. So you will fill it with something. There is a void in your marriage. Maybe he needs to understand that, and that's not an excuse for bad behavior. Please hear me. It's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that you have this need to connect, and if you don't have that need met, you will fill it with something. It could be overspending, overeating. It could be a job. It could be, I'm going to throw all my energies into my kid and ignore my husband. I mean, come on. You're going to fill it with something, because we just don't do voids as human beings. So maybe there's a different way to communicate with him, not to make him feel like it's all his fault. But if this isn't, move through this, it makes your marriage vulnerable to what? I don't know, something.
Yeah.
But it makes it vulnerable. When needs aren't being met, it makes it vulnerable. So whether it's a physical need, emotional need, a mental need, I mean, whatever it is. So as husbands and wives, we have a responsibility to protect our marriages from vulnerability.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
So
it's a great final response for sure.
Just Lord bless you. I'm sorry. Can I just say that? I'm sorry. This is going on. So stay in the fight. Fight for your marriage. It's worth it. So fight for the guy you love too, whatever he's going through. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great responses. All right. Well, we have one final one. This question is, will God still bless our relationship, future marriage, and sex life after we have had sex before marriage? He's putting down the board already.
Now why would somebody ask that question? I wonder. Why do you guys think somebody would ask a question like that? So we had sex before we're married, and now we're married. Will God bless our future sex life because we had sex before marriage? Where do you think that comes from?
Guilt, shame.
Yeah, guilt, shame. Maybe from Christian culture. I mean, where did the guilt and shame come from? Probably because you were told this. Unfortunately, you were probably told this. You were probably told this from, the term that's used is the purity culture that was really, advocated in churches and Christian communities in the, what was that, the 90s? What was it?
Yeah, purity culture. I'd say 90s, even 2000s.
In 2000s, yeah. And I think that there was this in the attempt to control people's behavior. We're going to control people's behavior once again with guilt and shame and fear of consequences, fear of punishment. And so if you have sex before you're married, you will forever throw away, a fulfillment in your sex life because you didn't do it God's way. Right? Is that kind of how it flies? Something like that?
The gum analogy.
Chewing gum.
What's the analogy?
What's the chewed gum?
Oh, like there was youth groups back in the day where you take this piece of gum, and it's like if you give yourself away, you're like this chewed up kind of piece of gum. Or there was I read this article one time, all these girls talking about how one of their youth pastors brought a cake, and they just let everybody take just very aggressive.
Yep.
Interesting.
I remember the cake illustration.
Yeah, your worth is all tied.
I'm going to give my piece away. Give a piece away. Give a piece away. Now there's nothing left for your husband when you get married someday.
Yeah.
What kind of crazy illustration is that? Guilt, shame, condemnation. Look what you've done. And there's no hope. It provides zero hope.
Well,
You have the unpardonable sin.
They try to put hope back and say, "Oh, I'm a reborn virgin."
Oh my gosh.
I'm a reborn. But here's the sad thing, and this is a lot of topics we're going to talk about, is the pendulum. There might be a good intention behind that, but the way it was presented, it destroyed people's. It destroyed a lot of girls in the sense of, I'm worthless now.
Yes.
They
destroy their self-esteem.
100% did.
Rob them of hope.
Yep. And so it's such a fine thing, because of course, the Bible, this is it's clear on God wants the sex between husband and wife. Yes, totally agree with that. But it's just so sad that we cherry pick that sin over so many other sins, and it can make that person feel so dirty versus hey, God also talks about how much he hates gossip. He hates, Jesus got so mad at religious hypocrisy.
He hates greed. He hates materialism.
Greedy. Yep. There's so many other sins. It's really interesting that this is just the one where it can make you feel unsavable almost.
Yep. And how many stories then are, because I've heard them, I know you've heard them, where people did it right, okay? Mm-hmm. They waited until marriage, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, okay? Mm-hmm. But they did everything that purity culture told them to do, and they don't have a great sex life. I mean, it was like this guarantee. If I do it God's way, therefore God will always do this. I mean, it doesn't work like that. Then you have people who didn't do it God's way, and they have a great sex life, and they have a great marriage, they have a great family. So it's like, come on, your theology doesn't play out in real life.
Yeah.
It just doesn't play out, it doesn't work like that.
This question in particular, if I had premarital sex, will God still bless my marriage? That almost makes me think of so many other examples, like, if I disobeyed my parents when I was a child, are my children going to always disobey me? If I lied before, am I always going to be cursed, because I lied? If I had a fight with a friend and I gossiped about them, does this mean that I'm never going to have any more friends? It's almost like that same fear-based mentality where, and we're not void of talking about consequences of actions, of course. And sex is very special and important. And I completely understand why you want it to be with the person that you are safe in a marriage with. There's so many reasons for that. God put that not as a finger pointing thing for me to beat you down with, but I made this rule because I love you, and it keeps you both safe. And it protects the relationship. But just like he has so many other rules, quote unquote, yes, guidelines, rules, whatever we want to say that they are, so that it's because he loves us and he wants what's best for us. This is the same thing, but when we do go outside of that, there's nowhere in the Bible where it's going to say, nope, you're not going to have any consequences. That's not true. But he is constantly telling people to come back to me, ask for forgiveness, and I will bless you. There's just countless examples of
Last
this in the Bible.
time I checked, he's a pretty redemptive God. Pretty redemptive.
Yeah.
And so, I hope you realize that the answer to your question is, can God still bless my marriage? Can God bless my sex life? The answer is a resounding yes. Are you following him today? You want to trust him today? Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, why are we focusing on what you did in the past? Mm-hmm. Who cares? Doesn't the Bible say he removes our sin as far as the east is from the west? Doesn't he say there's nothing that can separate you from his love? Doesn't it say that he has mercy? His mercies renew every morning. I mean, all these things. This is who God is. And all of a sudden, you make a mistake or a particular sin, and now you can't find fulfillment in that area for the rest of your life. Why do we say things like this? I mean, talk about something that is such a violation of the gospel itself.
The only thing that the Lord says he won't forgive is blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. And what that is dying to your grave and just rejecting the Lord, and just completely, that's eternal damnation. But he doesn't say that for anything else. That's the one thing in the Bible, and that can be, and this is a mixed bag, but sex before marriage, homosexuality, murder. You know, it can be as like extreme as that, but like the Lord, and that just it always just blows my mind of just like the grace that the Lord has. That we look at some of those things of like how do you have grace for that, Lord? Like I've stepped into that, and like how do I, any sin in life, there's just like an abundance of grace that we as conditional people can only understand so much to the degree. And unfortunately the church has made those sins have a different, I don't know how to describe it, not a weight, but just a perspective that the Lord doesn't have.
Exactly. He doesn't have the same perspective. I like it that you said it's a weight. We put a weight on it that the Lord himself doesn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is with the church's obsession with sex.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I talk about obsession, part of the obsession is a refusal to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And then when we do talk about it, we talk about it in almost a punishment fashion, because we want to create fear to control people's behavior. I mean, I do not get it. And then we can present it as if you've crossed a line that you can't ever come back from. Mm-hmm. I mean, all the ways that the church over the years has talked about this issue, and it just completely baffles me.
Yeah.
And it's like the Bible does not talk about it like this. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't.
Yeah. It's fascinating too, because obviously we're talking, this is an individual. And I, as far as like, always trying to bring in the other side of things, I can understand why we want to have focus on this, because I mean, look at all the single moms out there. It does have an effect. Sex is a big part of, a culture. Like, I mean, if you do start removing all these barriers and saying, yep, it's which is what we've done. Oh, here's all, let's just, free for all, sleep with whoever you want. Doesn't matter. Like and again, it's always pendulum. You go so far that way, it does have a drastic effect on society. We see broken families. We see kids that grow up without the dads in the home, and these are lasting. And the church should care about all this, of course. So it's like you want to care about these issues and try to get to the root of the problem. And yeah, it does kind of start with sex. And I get why it's such an important issue, but I also you can go so far, and we have before, where it's like we're gonna berate you so that you can't talk to us about anything without feeling like you are just a piece of trash because you didn't follow these exact. So it's so hard to walk that. But we have to. We have to, if we're going to love our neighbors, we have to walk that line of properly educating and caring about it while also loving the person that maybe didn't make the choice that we hoped they made, right? Especially with your own kids. And
the only phrase that I've heard this used is for sex. It's spiritual binding. That before, I've heard this all my life is, when you sleep with somebody before marriage, you're spiritually binding yourself, to that person, or in a different route, like to that sin. But I also think that you can spiritually bind yourself to any other thing. You can spiritually bind yourself to pornography. You can spiritually bind yourself to just sin in general. And so to just like box it in, it's really hard for me, because when I think about that stuff, I think of like, okay, remember this question. Will God so bless our relationship, future marriage, and sex life? Yes, because if Moses murdered somebody,
preach it,
which is so hard for us to like, that's a concept, that Moses killed somebody and God still used them. Like literally took somebody's life from this earth, and the Lord said, I'm still going to use you. Now, if anything under that falls, like under that umbrella, then it just goes to show that God uses like the extreme up there. And that's something that we have to wrestle with of like, God can use someone that just killed somebody. You just let that weight sit of like, okay, then if I've messed up in the past before, Lord, you have opened up my eyes to realize that, but you've also called me in this journey to not, that's not like my value. That's not my identity. Like you've called me, you have a whole different identity for me. I've messed up, but here's my identity the same way that Moses messed up. But God's like, this is your identity. This is who I'm calling you to be. You know, it's just in the same way. So,
I love the fact you're bringing up Moses, but here's the thing, okay? And he ended up becoming the single greatest. When the Jews looked at the Old Testament, Moses was at the top.
Patriarch.
Okay? He was the founder. Okay, but isn't that the biblical example?
Mm-hmm.
God's always grabbing screw ups and using them. This is what he does.
Mm-hmm.
He'll choose somebody, and in the midst of their calling, they screw up, and he still keeps them and believes in them,
Mr. David,
and redeems them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you see this example. You see it in the New Testament. You think about what Peter did. All right, Peter in Jesus's moment of need, when he needed someone the most, Peter denies he even knows the Lord 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
3 times. Now, I don't know how the rest of you look at that, but I look at somebody had sex, somebody just denied Jesus 3 times. Physically, he's there, okay? I'm thinking, this is way worse, okay? This is way worse. You hung out with Jesus for 3 years. You saw his miracles. You saw all this stuff, and you denied him 3 times. I'm like, that's way worse than having sex. Judas basically did the same thing, and it crushed him so much he went and committed suicide. So, I don't know why we put this burden on people that God himself does not do. He's so forgiving. He's so redemptive. And I think that people, like the church in the past, has struggled with how merciful and gracious God is. And they're worried that people are just going to throw off restraint and just start having sex everywhere. And that's not what people do. I'm going to use this verse on Sunday. It's the goodness of God that leads us to repentance. It's not the fear of punishment. It's his goodness that actually controls people's behavior more than the fear of punishment. Maybe we should start talking about sex in that context. Yes, we talk about consequences. There's consequences for all kinds of sinful behavior, and people should know, hey, kids, students, whatnot, okay, people, yep, you can make babies, you can get STDs, you can have emotional consequences. All true. All things that are true. But at the end of the day, God is so gracious, and he's so loving, and he's so merciful, and he believes in you so much. He knows that even if you mess up in that area, he's so redemptive that he will still bless your life to such an extent that, that'll just be a memory. And now your life is defined by who you are today.
Yeah.
Who cares what you did in the past? Paul says that, I don't look at the past anymore. I focus on what's ahead.
And that must have been a hard thing for him to do.
Oh, think about the Apostle Paul.
Example.
He killed people too, probably. Most people believe.
To not be reminded by that, by his own thoughts, by others around him. Of like,
yeah,
you did
I remember
this.
you. I remember who you used to be like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and you brought up Judas versus Peter, and what I always found fascinating about that is Peter had a repentant spirit, and so he was used. God used him for great things after that. Judas gave in to despair. Obviously, I didn't read anything about him being repentant of his. It was just he let that shame and that despair.
They both had guilt.
Yep.
They both went away weeping. They both did. One hung himself.
Yep.
And the other one was restored. It is fascinating to look at both of those characters and the path they took from, now I know there's other things going on, okay, but it is fascinating. What will guilt do? And then how Jesus restores Peter. And back that story too, there was a one-on-one that Peter had with Jesus that is not recorded in Scripture, okay? It says that Jesus appeared to the disciples, and then it says, and Peter. Why does it always single Peter out? Well, it's because there was a one-on-one. Jesus knew there needed to be a one-on-one so that Peter would have hope. And Jesus gave him hope. I still believe in you. Something happened. So,
that mystery, along with what he wrote in the sand, I can't wait to ask.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
For
so
sure.
I hope all that gives you hope.
Yeah.
There's hope.
Absolutely.
You are not defined by your past. None of us are. Don't go down that road. Don't let some self-righteous Christian tell you there is no hope for your future. You know what? If you're going to a church like that, you're hanging out with Christians like that, change your company. Okay? Because guilt and shame is not your destiny. Freedom in Jesus is. He's redemptive. So, on
Mic
that
drop.
note.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for your questions. And that's the reason we do what we do. So keep them coming. And if it sparked something for you, a thought or another topic, and the answer is we'll always talk about it. So whether we're talking about sex or not, send it. Send all the sex questions.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about it.
BS podcast at foothillsonline.com. And we'll be back next week. We'll
see you next week.
Guys.
See you guys. See you.